Welcome to the party. You found the Mouse Castle Lounge, the place to be for good times and great conversations from the world of Disney. The bar is open, your table is waiting, and drinks are now being served. Come on in. And now, here's your host, the keeper of the Mouse Castle Lounge, Tim Calloway.
Welcome to the lounge. It's March 16th, 2016, and I'm Tim Calloway. You are really going to enjoy today's show. My guest is the Director of Collections with the Walt Disney Family Museum, Michael Labrie. But first, the Mouse Castle is everywhere on the interwebs, so be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Mouse Castle. Follow me, Disney Tim, on Twitter, and check out the Mouse Castle on Tumblr, Pinterest, and Instagram. Share your questions and comments with us by emailing podcast@themousecastle.com or call our listener line at 702-475-5MCL. That's 702-475-5625. And of course, you can always visit the blog at themousecastle.com, where you can download the free Mouse Castle Lounge app for your mobile device. Just click the pic that says, Get the app. A few weeks ago, it was my pleasure to have filmmaker Pamela Tom in the lounge to talk about her documentary Tyrus, the story of Chinese-American artist and Disney legend Tyrus Wong. Last Thursday, I had the opportunity to finally see Tyrus on the big screen. The film opened CAAMFest, an annual film festival in the San Francisco Bay Area that supports and celebrates Asian art and culture. It was a delightful evening with the screening held at San Francisco's historic Castro Theatre, followed by a gala at the Asian Art Museum. On display at the event was an 80-year-old watercolor masterpiece by Tyrus called Chinese Jesus. It depicts an ethereal Christ-like figure floating in a partially clouded sky. For decades, the painting was thought to have been lost, only to be rediscovered a few years ago, stashed away in a San Francisco church. The painting came full circle on March 9th, when during a ceremony designating the day as Tyrus Wong Day in San Francisco, Tyrus Wong, at 105 years old, signed the painting. Last Friday, since I was in the neighborhood, I dropped by the Walt Disney Family Museum and spent time with Michael Labrie, the museum's Director of Collections. In 2013, Michael curated Water to Paper, Paint to Sky, an exhibition of Tyrus Wong's work. In our conversation today, Michael and I talk about Tyrus, as well as a contemporary of Tyrus's at Disney, Mel Shaw. Mel is the subject of a current retrospective at the museum. Mel Shaw, an animator on horseback. Please welcome Michael Labrie, my guest today in the Mouse Castle Lounge. How you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Tim. Nice to see you again.
Yes, very nice. You know, the very first time that you and I met was back in 2013 when you were the curator of Water to Paper, Paint to Sky, the Tyrus Wong exhibition. And now, fast forward a couple of years, here we are again, and once again talking about Tyrus Wong and the screening of the film Tyrus by Pamela Tom at CAAMFest last night. First question, what did you think of the film?
I loved it. Tyrus Wong is probably one of the most important and wonderful people I've met in my life, and I can never talk enough about him. And I thought the film was spectacular. It was really heartfelt, and he's such a dear person and such a talent, and doesn't even admit that he's such a great artist. It's fabulous to see his story.
What was it like for you to sit in the audience? I saw you with Tyrus and his family last night. What was it like to be able to sit in the audience and watch his life unfold on screen like that?
Well, because I did so much research on the exhibition to get to know Tyrus, about his works and his story, it was just so amazing to see it on film and to have everyone else get to share his story and to witness, again, what a remarkable person he is, what a talent, and just a really nice person.
And you also had the opportunity, there was an unveiling earlier this week of a piece of Tyrus Wong art that was thought to have been lost. Tell me a little bit about that.
So back when the exhibition was here at the museum in 2013, we got a call from David Lee, and David Lee said that he had found a painting and he wanted to know if it was possibly done by Tyrus Wong, and he had contacted the family, and they were coming here to look at the painting and Tyrus identify it. After he admitted he had done the painting, we looked at a way to add it to our exhibition. It was just unheard of to add a painting do an exhibition once it's installed, because there's so many things you have to do, taking down art in the area. We built a new wall. We did some minor conservation and cleaning of the painting, and we did have it in our exhibition here for the last 2 months of the exhibition.
And the painting is
what people refer to as Chinese Jesus. It's a remarkable rendition of Jesus, sort of floating in the clouds, and a very ethereal, red-haired Asian Jesus. And it had been in that church for 50 years. No one knew who did it.
And now they do, because he has now signed the painting, and you were there for the signing. What was that like?
It was so awesome to see him do his signature. Obviously, he's signed paintings thousands and thousands of times in his lifetime, and to see him do that and have that painting finally have his mark on it, it was just really exhilarating and wonderful and touching and emotional.
The screening at CAAMFest, and CAAM, of course, is the Center for Asian American Media. How important is it for that organization and for really the arts community to be able to open a film festival with a film like Tyrus?
I don't know how to describe it other than remarkable that and fortuitous that they would start this festival with the story of someone like Tyrus. There aren't too many of them, but then there are thousands of them that came to Angel Island, were there for any number of months or days or years, and maybe got sent back to China or never quite got past the idea that they could only do certain things in life, whether it's a laundry or a restaurant or just sort of service industry. To have someone like Tyrus do what he did, he's been an inspiration to so many people. Actually, I want to mention that right after the supervisor of San Francisco named March 9th Tyrus Wong Day in San Francisco, I told them about how inspiring it was to me to meet Tyrus, and he came to me and said, I just want you to know what an inspiration it is for me and my family. And he thanked us for doing this exhibition. So here it's come full circle. 3 years later, and Tyrus is being honored. It's about time.
Yeah, and very well deserved. And we talk so much about his talents. Of course, Tyrus modestly says it was just hard work and luck, but kind of what you're talking about from the luck standpoint, there were so many points along the way in his life where things just might not have worked out. Like you said, he may not have even made it into the United States. How does the challenges of Tyrus's life, kind of mold him and bring him to where he is today?
Well, the man himself, he's just, he says when he wakes up in the morning, he's happy to see the sunrise. When you can do a painting with 5 strokes instead of 10. He's one of those people like Walt Disney in so many ways. You give them lemons, they make lemonade. And that's what, to me, Tyrus Wong, he would roll with the punches, as they say. And he never really I don't think he ever got defeated. He always just thought there was an opportunity.
Making the allusion to Walt Disney, of course, we're at the Walt Disney Family Museum, and always a wonderful experience to go through the main galleries. But you have a special exhibition going on right now in the theater gallery about artist Mel Shaw.
Well, we were fortunate to have Don Hahn curate the exhibition. Ron was the one who actually instigated the Mel Shaw exhibition, just as Diane was the one responsible for Tyrus Wong becoming a reality. She wanted to honor the man. Ron felt that way about Mel Shaw, that he was such a talent and such brilliant art that he created for so many productions that he really wanted to present his work and story.
And there's an incredible scope to Mel Shaw's work. First of all, from a personality standpoint, this was a gentleman who played polo with Walt Disney and lunched with Orson Welles. So right there, he's already running with some interesting circles. But such a gifted artist, and he was there for the early days of the studio, the early features like Fantasia and Bambi and Dumbo, and then left and came back. Can you talk a little bit about just the scope and the breadth of his work, and especially in later years where he came back when other people were retiring from that kind of work?
Well, Ron wanted to bring him back to help train the new stable of animators, basically. And he came back with a vengeance. He working with Ron on The Black Cauldron, and we have wonderful art in the exhibition for you to see that representation, as well as Beauty and the Beast with Don Hahn and Lion King, and just the most magical pieces. And he just was a master of space in his paintings, and not to mention just his love of nature and foreign lands, and being able to document that. He drew all the time. It was like breathing to him.
There are some concept pieces I saw in the exhibition from Bambi, and one of the things that struck me, speaking of Tyrus Wong, is how much Mel Shaw's interpretation really was a close counterpoint to how Tyrus did his concepts for Bambi.
They were contemporaries, and actually Tyrus did a fabulous caricature of Mel Shaw, and we weren't able to find the original art. But if you ever were to see it, he had the bushiest eyebrows you've ever seen, and Tyrus captured it. Just again, they just had their love of drawing and painting. I think it always came through. They were able to create a feeling and an emotion in their painting. There was a story. They were both great storytellers.
And speaking of being a caricaturist, there is a wonderful group of caricatures that Mel Shaw did of the 9 Old Men.
Really fun, aren't they?
You have it just as you turn the corner as you're coming into the downstairs gallery, and it just kind of hits you, and it's like, oh my gosh, even before you see the names. And if you're, if you are familiar with Disney history and Disney artists, it's like, oh my gosh, it's the 9 Old Men, and there's Ward Kimball, and there's Frank, and there's Ollie, and that really made me smile.
Bob Reitherman, Woolie's son, was here, and we had made, I guess it happens on occasion, we had made a mistake on who was who. Woolie and Milt Carl, I guess people would confuse them, and so he pointed that out to us. We corrected it the next day.
Very nice. And this is really a rare showing of Mel Shaw's work, because up until this exhibition, very little of his art had been seen outside the Disney studio.
He's never sold a painting. For as prolific as he was, he had never sold a painting, and his family has all of his art. And so there were 3 homes that we went. Don had curated from both his son and daughter, as well as the home they had out in Lockford.
And aside from his Disney work, he did a lot of painting just for the sake of painting. What are some of the pieces that you have in the exhibition that aren't tied to any work with Disney?
California history, his travels, many travel paintings. When he went to South Africa with his children, his family, he traveled all over the world. And so they feature the San Francisco earthquake, the fire after that. Here's a painting of that, as well as the Battle of San Pasqual. Just a great rendition of that, as well as the iconic animals of California, the grizzly bear, the elk, and the cougar. Not only did he paint, he did fabulous sculptures.
So very much like Tyrus Wong, to make that comparison, he worked in many different mediums, and from watercolor to oils to sculpture.
Ceramics as well, Matlock pottery.
A little bit of everything. Now, Mel Shaw, an animator on horseback, that exhibition is running through September 12th. And we're actually sitting right now just adjacent to the Diane Disney Miller Exhibition Hall. And you guys are now working on a new exhibition that's coming out later this year. Can you talk about that a little bit?
A little bit. I know it's been mentioned that we're doing this exhibition on Pinocchio, Wish Upon a Star, The Art of Pinocchio. It's one of the largest exhibitions we've done. There's over 300 objects in the exhibition. It'll be a real feast for the eyes and a treat for everyone to experience the beautiful art, as well as some wonderful things the designer has in store for us.
That sounds very exciting. And when is that supposed to open?
We will have an opening, VIP opening on the 17th, and it opens to the public on May 18th.
Well, we will be looking forward to that. And what are some of the other programs that the museum has going on right now?
Our education program has some wonderful art classes and programs and activity all centered around Pinocchio. So there'll be quite a lot for people to choose from, and I think it'll be a very exciting time for everyone to participate.
Well, Michael, this is always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for your time. To find out more about the Walt Disney Family Museum, go to waltdisney.org. And Michael Labrie, thanks for spending time with us today in the Mouse Castle Lounge.
My pleasure. Thank you, Tim. Great to see you.
After talking with Michael, imagine my surprise to run into none other than Tyrus Wong at the museum. He was the guest of honor at a member event later that evening, but he had arrived early to take in the Mel Shaw exhibition. We only chatted briefly, but as always, Tyrus was charming and an absolute pleasure to talk with. CAAMFest runs through March 20th, so if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area this week, I highly recommend seeing one of the many fascinating films screening during the festival. In fact, the Walt Disney Family Museum, in celebration of Tyrus Wong, is showing Bambi this Saturday and Sunday. Plus, you can also catch an encore showing of Tyrus at the New Parkway Theatre in Oakland, also on Sunday. For times and ticket information, visit caamfest.com. That's CAAMFEST.com. And that will do it for this edition of the Mouse Castle Lounge. Thank you to Michael Labrie for being my guest. Stay up to date with everything going on in the Mouse Castle Lounge. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. You can also download the free Mouse Castle Lounge app, which you can get right now by going to themousecastle.com and clicking Get the App. Anthony Reynolds and I host Inside the Mouse Castle with your weekly dose of Disney news, information, and commentary. Do give us a listen. The Mouse Castle Lounge is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company. I just like to talk about him. I'm Tim Calloway. It's been a blast as always, so let's do this again real soon. Take care.